First time I think we physically saw it was a men's retreat in 2017. But
14.
Huh?
14.
14. And it's just the journey over the years. And in Jeremy's career as a speaker, this brother was just intentional about, I'm going to get you in the corporate space. And gave Jeremy his first $10,000 gig in the corporate space, just being a brother to me. So separate what he does in the line coach and all that other stuff, he's just somebody that we trust, that's loyal to the team, that's loyal to the squad. So he's going to give you a tremendous amount of value. He knows he works with the best of the best in the industry. He's been coached by the best of the best in the industry when it comes to the mindset and the disc assessment. Give it up for our own Mr. Dewane Mutunga!
We good? Okay. Yeah. How y'all feeling? We good. Hey, listen, wherever I go, I bring the culture with me because I want people to understand what's possible. So first and foremost, I want to thank you, bro, for trusting me again with your people. And this afternoon, I want to talk to you about cultivating excellence.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a kid from the Bronx first and foremost. And it just so happened that God wired me. He allowed me to go through some experience, and he called me to be a way maker. And what I mean by that is he called for me to go through some experiences and endure some things so that I can make a way and teach other people how to do it. That makes sense? Right? And so all I want to do, because I didn't come from excellence. I came from love. I came from an environment where people gave you all they had, but it wasn't quite excellent. It was just enough. It was what we had. And what I know about people is we're always doing the best that we have, but there's always another level. And coming and standing before you as next levelers, it just makes sense that we have a conversation about excellence. Okay. So, yeah, y'all gotta mind me. I don't be using slides like this. I try to, you know what I'm saying? Okay. You know what I'm saying? So listen, I'm really big on being intentional and deliberate about words, being exact and precise. So we're talking about cultivating excellence. So the word cultivate means to devote oneself to, right? To promote, to improve, right? The growth by labor and attention. So there's work and there's attention. Attention right now is really the most valuable commodity we have. Everybody talks about like time management. I like to talk about energy management. Because I can give you 24 hours, but if you don't have no energy, you can't do nothing with it. You can't focus your attention on something, right? And excellence, for the sake of this conversation, just means the state of excelling. Right? We want to go above and beyond. Me and Jay was talking, and he was like, man, the new standard is just above and beyond. We don't even want to be great no more. We want to go above and beyond whatever the best is. So like I said, everybody is doing their best. And let me tell you something, this was something that was really difficult for me to accept, right? Because I had my truth that you can always do better, right? And I had to realize that my truth wasn't absolute. There's my truth and then there's your truth. There's perspective. Truth has value. And what I realize is everybody right now is doing 100% of what they're capable of doing. How many of y'all feel like y'all are giving 100% of yourself? Let's give it 100. Let's give me some hands. Right? Not everybody raised their hand, but even if you're not aware, I want you to know what you're doing right now is 100% of what you're capable of doing. Because if you was capable of doing more, you'd be doing it. To know and not do is to not know. Right? So a lot of times we do things in our own strength. We like to do things based on our own mindset. We always talk about being coachable. And again, because I grew up in the Bronx during the crack era, and you don't really get to see people doing positive things and not really doing things at a high level. So what I do is, and y'all that have heard me speak before, is I study the greats. And so growing up during that time, the icon of all icons was Michael Jordan, right? And so what I noticed about Mike was he was this phenomenal player, right? Individually, like the people who saved the NBA was Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, right? Like they saved the NBA, but they wasn't Mike though. Larry Bird said he was playing with Mike and said God disguised himself as Michael Jordan. Like I don't think there's no other compliment like that. And Michael Jordan did things that we never saw before. But there's one thing that he couldn't do, and that was win. He would go to the playoffs, he would get swept, he would play, the Celtics and lose, and then he started playing the Pistons, and they started beating him up. They created the Jordan rules. Some of us don't realize that life is playing with us with Jordan rules. There's Kev rules, there's Lance rules. I realized that life was playing the Jordan rules on me. And instead of me trying to do something in my own strength, right, Michael Jordan's coach was Doug Collins. And he was being interviewed one day. It was actually the season that Michael Jordan was the MVP, he was the scoring leader, the All-Star Game MVP, and he won Defensive Player of the Year. Nobody had ever did that before. And it was like, hey, Doug Collins, they was interviewing him like, I said, what's the game plan? He said, give Michael the ball and move out of the way. Like, let's just let Mike cook. And that was cool for him to get accolades, but he wasn't winning. And Mike just wanted to win. He wanted to be a champion. But he couldn't get past the Jordan rules. And then in 1989, they brought in somebody named Phil Jackson. The Zen master. He in there meditating. They're like, what does this have to do with basketball? I just want to score. And to be real, Mike wasn't really feeling Phil. Because Phil said, hey, listen, all that dominating the ball, we're not doing that no more. Phil said, we're going to implement something called the triangle offense. Anybody heard that before? Okay. And so the basketball analysts, there was a basketball analyst, I don't remember my man's name because there's so many of them, but they said that the triangle offense is irrefutably the most dominant offensive strategy of the last 20 years in any sport. So you might know who Michael Jordan is, but if you don't know who Phil Jackson is, Phil Jackson three-peated with the Bulls twice and went to the Lakers and three-peated. So you kind of know what he's talking about. Michael Jordan didn't win a championship until he played in the triangle offense. He didn't win anything. And I thought the most important thing when I was studying, like I had to go back and like read newspaper clips, and I went and I was watching The Last Dance. And the thing that I noticed about Mike was, and he didn't even realize how much of a blessing it was. Mike went from shouldering the responsibility of winning to sharing it. He made a shift, but he did it begrudgingly. Like he's like, yo, my man is in here meditating. I just want to come in and shoot my shots. He got Scotty, he got Phil, but it was the triangle offense that made him a champion. So if you would, this morning, this afternoon, I just want to ask that you allow me to be your Zen master, your Phil Jackson, because I created a triangle offense of my own through my own lived experience because I got tired of losing. I got tired of losing. And like I'm real big on like not telling you something I read in the book, but like I live this, but I also read books too. So let's do this. So listen, let me tell you something. Excellence is the price you pay to make the impossible seem effortless. Y'all remember the commercial Mike had where he was like, "Oh, it's my fault, cause maybe I made y'all think it was easy. Maybe y'all thought that like I just came here and I was sweet and I just hit free throws, and maybe y'all thought when I won the championship it was just." He said, "What you didn't see was all the shots that I missed. You didn't see the nights that I cried, the nights that I lost and stayed in the gym. You didn't see that. Maybe it's my fault that I made y'all think it was easy. But I'm here to tell you that excellence is a habit. It's something that we cultivate. It's something that we pour into, we groom. Excellence makes impossible seem effortless." I just want to see, like a show of hands, how many people want to tap into excellence? So listen, mindset, right? So we're going to go to triangle offense. First piece of the triangle is mindset. So mindset, for the sake of the conversation, mindset is connected to the identity that generates the outcome. Now, I'm not going to go too crazy with y'all with statistics. I know my C's may want some of that. But what I will tell you is that identity, like behavior, is a function of identity.
Right, correct.
So like marathoners ain't just running marathons because they like to run. They do it because they identify with being runners. Right? Like dudes that's just buff, they just in the gym on the bodybuilder ministry. They're not just doing that because it's cool. They identify with being a bodybuilder. Identity dictates behavior. So the first thing I need for you to do is identify with what it is to be a next level speaker. Not a speaker, a next level speaker. A next level elite speaker, because there's levels. But I need that to stick in your mind first. So some of you may or may not know, so I'm certified in behavioral psychology, so I study thoughts, I study behaviorism, I study, why people do what they do, what makes them sick. And on average, we have about 36,000 thoughts a day, right? 80% of those are negative thoughts, and 95% of them are repeated.
Wow.
This is why they always talk about the subconscious. We actually don't have control of what's going on here. The average human being only operates in their conscious mind, meaning you're conscious of what you're thinking and doing, for an hour and a half per day. I just want y'all to sit with that. An hour and a half of the day. So everything you're doing, what you're saying, what you eat, it's a script that's running. It's an invisible script. It's programming. So here's the thing, right? Because there's the things that we know, there's the things that we know that we don't know, and then there's things that we don't know that we don't know. And those things that we don't know that we don't know, we can't do anything about because we don't know. But that's why awareness is important. Awareness breeds choice. Because you can't choose something that you're not aware of. So when I first got here, I said everywhere I go, I bring the culture with me because I want people to see what's possible. I'm a possibilitarian. I'm a kid from the Bronx, and I never saw somebody doing what I'm doing the way that I'm doing it. So I have a responsibility to do this. So now, when kids see me, they go, oh, okay. And each and every one of us have the opportunity to do this and what we do. It's exposure. You heard it all day. It's exposure. Somebody makes you aware of something, now it gives you an option. And I'm obsessed with studying in the greats and becoming better because what I don't know, the triple darkness, I'm only aware of a certain amount of choices. So I'm making choices based on those choices, but there's more choices. I'm choosing from a limited place. And if you don't know who you truly are and what you truly want and what's truly for you, then you can't make choices that actually serve the true you. Because the script is running. So if you're operating outside of yourself, that's a problem. So can I offer you some mindsets before we get into it? Yes. Can I offer you some mindsets? I just want to invite you to step into this. Okay? The first thing is I need you to make the transition from your desire to discipline. I would say what I really want to say, but now we in the spirit and Jay, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to just say, forget your feelings. Forget your feelings. Y'all know what I really want to say. Your feelings is not loyal to you. Come on, Doc. They not loyal. Yeah, teach that. If I said I had $2 million for you right now, I don't care how you felt, your whole temperature would change. You're going to do whatever you need to do to get the $2 million. So we know that the feelings ain't it. But what are you committed to? What choice did you consciously make? What are you choosing to do consciously? What are you committed to? It's discipline. It's not based on what I feel like. It's based on what I said I was going to do. That's right. The other thing, and this was a game changer for me, because where I come from, I'm a champion. I'm the one I'm like the golden child. In my family, in my environment, like, they love me because I'm doing something that they didn't even think was like, how did you do this? But I realized that I had to better my best because my best was cool over there. Yeah, that's right. But when I got in other spaces, I wasn't even average. Right. I wasn't average. Like, I just want to get butt naked for a second. Like I went to school and my parents split when I was 3, so like I didn't really see like good relationships. So I went to school and like I saw this young lady and we got married and we had kids and like neither one of us knew what healthy marriages or relationships look like. How y'all think that ended? I didn't have an example of healthiness to choose. So that conference that Crump just told y'all that we met at, that was the first time that I walked into a space where there were men with their wives. I didn't know what was happening. I said, oh, this is it. I don't know what it is, but I feel like this is the place. And after that conference, I went home, and it was a little crazy, but I went home and I apologized. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Because I didn't have the awareness, the choices to choose to be better for you. But now that I know, I'm responsible to do, right? Awareness breeds choice. Now, we want to be whole human beings, but we also want to secure a bag. So can I offer you some money mindsets? Okay, so the first one, people pay me for the value I create. I want y'all to say that. People pay me for the value I create. Okay, the more money I make, the more value I can create. The more money that I make, the more value I create. Okay, and money is a marker that I'm doing the right thing. Say that one more again. I'm pretty sure we know a whole lot of speakers that's sweet and they broke. I'm just being real. Hey, listen, one of my mentors said to me, he said, yo, D, let me talk to you. He said, listen, he said, yo, when you look up deep in the dictionary, your name and your face should be there. You are the deepest person that I know. And then he said, why do I make more money than you? My mentor said, when you look up deep in the dictionary, your name and your face should be there. You know, sometimes in the dictionary when you look, they put the little thing so you can see what it is. Like they don't just leave a word, they put a little image. He said, your name and your face should be there, but why do I make more money than you? Like if you so deep. And honestly, I didn't have an answer. And to this day, he still make more money than me, and I have not answered that question for him. But I'm in pursuit. I'm in pursuit. I'm not satisfied, y'all. I'm allergic to average. Like even within myself, like I'm like obsessive, compulsive, monomaniacal. Like it's something I can't turn on. I can't turn it off. Like we was watching Wall Street, right? The movie, the remake, and the little wolf dude was like buying up the companies, and he put one of the young dude's mentors out of business. And he went to the office and he was like, "Yo, man, like, what's your number? Like, what can I do? Like, I'll figure something out. I'll work to get the deal. Like, what's your number? Just leave him alone. Like, that's my mentor." And he looked at the kid and he's like, and the kid was like, "For real? Like, what's your number?" And he said, "More." And walked out. I sent it to Jay. I said, "Jay, Jay said, yes, this is it." More, I'm just not satisfied. Are y'all satisfied with where y'all are right now? No. But what are you doing about it? Everything starts with mindset. Everything. There's a book called The Science of Success by Wallace D. Wattles. He says that everything is created twice in the mind. Everything is created twice. Everything that exists is created twice, once in the mind and then in the physical. The stage I'm standing on, somebody thought about this. The chairs that you sit in, somebody thought of and then created. You saw what you live in before you lived in it. That's why experience and exposure is important, because we need you to expand to what the next thing is. Environment. Your environment will change you before you change your environment. It's environment. The mindset has to be there, right? You have to be thinking a particular way, but then you have to construct your environment to be conducive to the mindset that you establish. So for the sake of the conversation, it encourages and makes it easier to perform and sustain habits. What I told you, you told me, he told me, "Bro, I got it, but I want you to keep it." It's cool. I was in the barbershop, Jay, and old school, it's the old school dude always in the barbershop. He's like, "You know what's wrong with you young boys?" He said, "Y'all got a good catch game, but y'all ain't got no keep game." He said, "Y'all know how to get a woman, but you don't know how to keep her." I was like, he said, "You got to have a good catch game and a good keep game." My mentor said, "Yo, do me a favor. Don't touch and don't start doing anything that you can't keep doing for the next 10 years. Don't even touch it. Because you just kind of all over the place. You just doing things just because you can do them. Just because you can do something don't mean you should." Environment is the invisible hand that shapes behavior. So whether you're aware of it or not, you don't even realize how influential your environment is to you. You thinking you doing it because I'm motivated and I got talent. No, you're not. Your environment, your physical and your mental environment dictates what you do and how often you do it. So really quick, and y'all, and so for real, like I really think like I be doing the disc assessments and it's just like some thing like, it's really real. I told you, I grew up. I'm going to tell you why I'm the way that I am based on where I come from. I'm a 99D. I'm demanding, right? So anybody who is a D, you're a D because at some point in your life you felt unsafe or you felt like somebody took advantage of you. I told y'all I grew up in the Bronx during the crack era. So I seen people getting killed. I seen fights. I done seen all sorts of everything. So when you're in an environment like that, you either become an animal or you get eaten. You prey or you get preyed on. You're either at the table or you're on the menu. And I chose to be at the table. I'm a high D. My eye, naturally I'm a reflective person. But what that really means is I don't necessarily trust too easy, and I don't necessarily let people see who I am. Why? Because when you live in an environment where people are praying, you don't let people be able to dictate your moves. That's right. So you learn to mask and shut off the emotional part of you because people prey on that. Yes, that's absolutely correct. Your emotions will get the best of you. When you live in a chaotic environment, what's the one thing you want to get back to? Peace. So that S I have where it's getting up to patient and complex, like I really will go Hulk smash, but it's really because I want peace. I read this thing about the warrior in the garden, right? I always refer to myself like a warrior in the garden. They said it's like a Japanese proverb. They said it's better to be a warrior in a garden than to be a gardener who has to go to war. That's right. Like I only go to war, I only want to solve a problem because I want peace in my environment. And I'm willing to do it by any means. My C is kind of there, but not really there. Like I'm kind of like, okay, cool. Again, I grew up in an environment where anything can go. So you might have a plan, but that plan is not going to be what it is. And also, there's a different set of rules for us. The police treat us different. The school treat us different. So I can't really play by these rules. I got to figure out what my rules are and do what it do. Can you see how my environment shaped who I am now as a man? So now what happens when you realize that that's not enough and you have to better your best? Now we have to design the environment. We have to choose the environment that allows us to become what we want to become. Does that make sense? Yeah. Environmental design is important. And I want y'all to take this serious. Physical and digital. Some of y'all laptops is crazy. Y'all got files all over the place. Apps is all over the place. They said a person's environment is a reflection of who they are internally. If you got a lot of clutter in the crib, that usually means that you got a lot of things you need to sort out and deal with internally. So a couple of ways that you can promote a better environment, you can create a better environment for yourself, is to automate good decisions. Habit formation is about making it easier to make good decisions and making it harder to make poor decisions. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you want to remove friction or add friction depending on what you want to do. Again, what often looks like, poor willpower or poor desire or poor energy is a poor environment. That applies to your children, your workers, your spouse, you. It's not that you don't have energy. Your environment is not conducive to the things that you want to do. So we got to change that. Winners win because the environment favors them to win. Mike playing ISO, it's a team sport. One man can't beat 5 people. He can't. But when he played a team sport and they moved the ball, first of all, Mike ain't never played in the game 7. Never. And he went 6 for 6. Finish your breakfast. Like Mike won everything because he got in an environment. And if you're losing because your environment is working against you. So a behavior is something that happens in isolation. It happens one time, but a habit is a system that happens over and over and over on repeat. And the habit is a byproduct of the environment. So these numbers, 2,000. I told you I study greats, right? And Sophie, please forgive me, sis, I'm sorry. But we was watching the game last night. Celtics and the Warriors. Now the game was a little competitive, and then a little light skin went crazy. I study the greats. Steph Curry is referred to as the greatest shooter to ever play basketball. Is that questionable? No. Okay. But he didn't do that just by happenstance. Like, because he liked playing basketball. Other people like playing basketball. It's habits. Steph Curry takes 2,000 shots a week on average. Right? A minimum of 250 shots every day. Minimum. And he takes an additional 100 shots before the game. But that's not the most impressive thing. Steph, when he became the greatest, he said, I want to get more precise. So he started bringing in a new trainer and bringing in technology. Steph said, listen, I want to be better than the best. So he started training with these goggles that made his vision impaired. So he's just not taking 2,000 regular shots. He's taking shots with vision impaired goggles on. Because he said, I want to take the mental challenge of being as perfect as possible. I want to be better. He hired a company to say, listen, when you shoot the ball, shoot it at the center. Steph's trainer said, making shots and workouts is no longer good enough. If it's not a swish, we don't count it. So some of y'all are training and it's just like, I just want to shoot 1,000. Some people want to make 1,000. Steph said if it's not a swish, it don't count. And the data showed that if you shoot it at the center, 79% of the shots go in. And I don't know how the diameter of a rim, but like if you shoot it within 5 inches of the center, it's going to go in 79% of the time. And if you go off 1 or 2 inches, it drops from 79 to 77. And if you move to that 4th and 5th inch, it falls off the cliff. So Steph said, when I shoot my shots, not only do I want it to swish, but I want it to shoot in 3 inches of the center. That's precision. He's taking 2,000 shots, swishes, with vision impaired goggles on, 250 shots a day, 100 before the game, and what that did was his average went up 7 points. He went from averaging 23 points a game to 30. What does that look like for you? He said, I never worry about my shot, ever. Why? Earned confidence. Habits. You're only not confident about what you're doing because you haven't done it enough. If you get on a stage and you feel nervous, you ain't speaking enough. How many reps are you getting in? Y'all said y'all want to be next level speakers. Steph Curry was already the greatest shooter, and he said, I want to get better. He putting up 2,000 shots a week. How many speeches are y'all giving? How many reps y'all getting? We see it move the needle. So I'm going to wrap up. But excellence is never an accident. Ever. It's the result of high intention, being intentional, deliberate, sincere effort. You got to, desire is cool, but we shifting from desire to discipline. That's sincere effort. Intelligent direction. Are we going the right way? And what is that based off? I told you Steph was already greatest and went and got more data so he could ascend. Skillful execution. So he's raising his skills because he's practicing like he plays in a game. He's making it actually more difficult because you don't practice with goggles on. That's how he's mastering his craft. And then lastly, he has the vision to see obstacles as opportunities. Does that make sense? So again, everywhere I go, I bring the culture with me because I want people to understand what's possible. My name is Dewane Mutunga, and thank you for your time.